I would like to talk about healthy boundaries and communicating boundaries and saying no when it comes to honoring the empowered masculine. These days, we talk a lot about women getting their power back, right? And understanding their boundaries and communicating their boundaries. Also, uh, making sure these boundaries are sustainable, that we keep them firm and consistent so we don't create any confusion or misunderstandings, right? Or we don't get confused ourselves as well, right? And at the same time, what I observe right now in the relational, intimate space between women and men, that many times the same idea of having those healthy boundaries, communicating those boundaries, and saying no, that men have absolute right to have them as well. And it's actually a great gift from the empowered masculine to empowered feminine. It gives us the right container to understand that our relationship space, our intimate relationship container is being co-created, right? And it's not enough of us understanding ourselves. It's not enough of us women doing our feminine work and knowing what we want. It's also including and inviting the empowered masculine to co-create with us. And many times there can be certain misunderstanding, there can be certain disagreement, there can be something that you suddenly realize like, oh, we don't agree on this one, we are not on the same page. We need to find a way to navigate this. And what I noticed, when it comes to like the strong women, especially like those ones who went through the whole feminism process, it's really, really hard for them to navigate such situations. And it's hard even to see uh, the empowered masculine qualities behind men communicating their boundaries and men standing strong with their own boundaries and saying no to the feminine, which is like, it's not like you're a gentleman, you are not you don't love me. Like is being misinterpreted pretty often. It's often creates a situation of hurt feelings, misunderstanding, blame, conflict, um, all of those things, right? So that is something that can be learned through personal journey, right? It's really hard to like use universal language. We can use examples, right? The examples are great. This situation happened a lot when I work with couples. And basically, my role as a facilitator, as a guide to build a bridge and create an authentic space for relating. So we're not trying to solve the problem. We're not trying to uh, choose who's right or wrong. We're taking it as truth from both sides, and then we build bridge. So our goal in this work is to first identify the deepest truth on both sides, hold on to that truth, and then build the bridge in between. So how these two truths, two parts of truth, right, can be in co-creative space, in harmony, right, basically not in conflict. And this is really, really hard because let's say your man says no to you. You ask him something and he says, no, I'm not available for that, right? And sometimes it can be something personal, like it can be like a common example is like, I would like you to come and see my family. And he says, no, I'm not ready to see your family, right? There can be certain disagreements or perceptions how he feels about your family. Maybe there is something that he's still working on and how he wants to relate, right, to different members of your family, right? It can be something with the kids, like if the kids come from previous marriages, let's say previous relationships, there can be conflicts there. If he say no to something that is about kids, that is really hard for women to hear, right? It can hurt the feelings. Or it can be something intimate, right? Like if he says no to having sex, right, to intimacy, it's like these are more general, of course, examples, but these are the area very sensitive, right? And every day I have a couple sessions when these things come through in a very specific and unique way, and it feels very intense, right? Yet, because women are healing so much, and we invite them, men, to hold space for our healing, right? This is part of the process, right? And learning to hold space. This is holding space is the masculine role, right? Holding a safe space, protect, provide and protect. And yet, we also need to understand that men showing us the awareness of their own boundaries, understanding where these boundaries come from, being able to have a conversation about it, and keep them until they shift or change consistently, right? Without, of course, creating a drama, without being rude and mean, but just if it's no, it's no. We have to say thank you for that, because this takes us completely different level, and it allows us to practice a new skill set of relational intelligence, and also understand, and it helps us to understand what empowered masculine is about. um, and in the past, I was the one who was like my way or highway kind of person, empowered woman in more like older way, right? Like the feminist style. And it was hard for me to hear when somebody says no to me like that. I mean, not in all situations, but in when it comes to sensitive topics. But then I felt I can say that, right? So it's very important to pay attention to this particular um, area of our relating dynamics, right? When does your man say no to you, and why does he say so? Can you have conversation about it? It's totally okay to feel triggered. It's totally okay to feel affected by that. Yet it's important not to take it in and feel victimized by this, or being like going to hurt feelings and blame and being offended, but really open up space for deeper communication, for deeper connection, and understand where this boundary come from. It might come from previous wounding with the feminine. Might come from a place of like family dynamics, family wounding. It might come from personal experience of how people are wired and they can handle, right? So it's very important to understand. And in tantric relationships, we're trying to create, as much as possible, we want to create space where we always give and receive from the heart. So if you ask me something, I don't give it to you right away, right? First, I take it in, your request, and I check in with myself if I'm available to give this thing or experience to you from the heart, from the open heart, from the generous place. Like, yes, I want to give it to you. I want to give from the heart, and you want to receive from the heart. And this is a very beautiful, intimate, uh, profound bonding relationships. We want to sustain that, and the only way to sustain it, to always check in on both ways. Are you giving from the heart when somebody is asking you to give you something, or you do it because of obligation, because of duty, because of pressure, because of feel to be blamed selfish, or you want to please your partner, you want to impress your partner, or any other reason? If you're giving from any other place, rather than giving from the heart, from the place of true generosity, that is not quite aligned place to give, right? You need to shift it inside yourself first before you start giving. And the same thing with receiving, right? If you're not receiving something from the heart, maybe you want to communicate that. Maybe you want to check in what is blocking you receiving, and what is not allowing you to receive from the heart. And usually there is something that in nonviolent communication we understand that is like something is blocking your capacity to give from the heart in the moment in this particular situation. And usually it's something that is like your own need is not met somehow, or something is not resolved in terms of your internal harmony and balance. And there is some kind of internal conflict, there is some kind of trigger behind it, right? So we need to resolve that and remove that first before we open the space for giving and receiving. And that takes a lot of work. It takes lots of awareness, takes lots of presence, and it takes commitment to work on this relationship piece together.